Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Price, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is the third volume in a report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesis adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Viz, Laura Hamstra as Eli Sharp, and Della Borovic as Morgan Rawls. My report shows that the Inquisitorial band are getting ready for a wedding. Morgan and Eli prepared their weapons and received a message from the king, while Valentyne and Attikus prepared their next steps in the palace. But can the rogue trader and navy man find the evidence needed to assassinate the conspirators and get their bombs removed? Find out next in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
Recording from Vernelius Venomblight. And then he just fucking went, and he booked it with the Rattling. So I guess the Rattling's gonna do the fucking party. I don't know why I'm even fucking here anymore. Servitor sat and watched quietly. There is a lot going on in Greybridge. Vernelius Venomblight is not planning a party, and it is killing him. Servitor is sitting nearby and watching this happen. Across the planet, people are making their final preparations for the Day of Days, the last day of the celestial season, winter. Winter has come, and people are preparing for it. For the Inquisitorial band, of course, you have slightly different goals. You have an Eldari somewhere on world that you got to kill. You've got a Cloud Palace to infiltrate. Attikus is going to have to figure out wedding stuff. And Morgan and Eli have been tasked with protecting the king, assisting in securing the sort of royal grounds, as well as possibly assassinating both Versailles and Kyros. So where we last left you, Morgan, Eli, and of course, dear sweet Voidstain, we're trying to figure out, they're going over Valentine's reports and trying to figure out what the angle on Versailles and Kyros was going to be. So let's go ahead and start there. Is there anything, knowing, because we're kind of in this weird space of the characters are learning some stuff for the first time, but the players are both acutely aware of all this stuff. So it's also fair if either of you have plans or thoughts around it to not like have to roll in shit to RP. Did you read the documents or not?
Right.
So if you have any initial thoughts, that's fine. Otherwise, we can roll for it, and I can possibly give you some additional things.
I had some thoughts. I think as Voidstain is settling down to look over paperwork, and maybe even Eli, Morgan's sitting there like, this is not my strong suit. Voidstain has done a good job of giving us some ideas, but then instantly it's like, this is not something I'm good at. I should delegate this to someone else. And she gets up and opens a window and sends Toby out the window down into a courtyard looking for any servo skull to bring back up to the room.
Yeah, I think that'd be easy enough to find. Again, like everyone's, even at night, like people are sending messages back and forth.
Yeah.
And,
So then Toby brings the servo skull back up to the window, and Morgan grabs it and looks it straight in its little eyes and says, I am looking for a particular friend. And hoping that Lizzo Lizardman.
Yeah, the skull just like screams binary at you for a moment, and then that cuts off. And Lizzo Lizardman comes in and says, sorry about that, darling. Sometimes it takes me a minute to find the right one.
That's all right. Morgan closes the window. Is this a secure line that we can discuss things on?
Oh, honestly, darling, if anyone had figured out exactly how I was using these before, this would all be over quite soon. No, this is fine, although I must admit, I have to stay somewhat quiet. An associate of mine is having a rather difficult evening, and it is making for excellent sport and entertainment. So you will forgive me if I'm only committing, say, half of my mental resources to this. I am also composing several different communiques right now. The letters don't write themselves, so, you know. Priorities and such.
I understand, and I'm very thankful that you give the time to listen to me. She turns the servo skull around for a second to show that Voidstain's in there, and then turns back and sits down by the fire. I have been reunited with my love, but my wish to be sure that the people who have hurt him has not abated. I also know that you wanted to get revenge on the one who hurt Ballensong.
Yes, I am still not particularly pleased about that, and though I have yet to find out exactly who, if you have any leads, I'd be most happy to assist.
I do think that Versailles and Kuros did it. I also think they are planning a coup to overthrow the Duke and the King and this planet. And I need your help in finding that evidence.
Well, the evidence I don't know that I can be of much assistance with, but their location is something that I've been keeping under my cranial cap for some time. If you were to travel to a small cottage on the edge of the Kuros estate, one that a groundskeeper might keep, for instance, you might find a couple of lords having a conversation, if my various skulls are to be believed.
That is very curious, though I will posit it to you. Do you think it would be better for the society if they died quietly, alone in the woods, or if they died by the king's hand with video evidence of the crimes they committed?
Well, a scandal is a scandal, and even if they die quietly, I assure you word will get out. So it's really a matter of deciding how you want to go about it. I will say that in my experience, if lords are left to their own devices, they have good ways of sneaking out of things, but who am I to say? Vengeance is on my mind, but is not something I have ever partaken of since I have come into consciousness. It is curious to be assisting you with this. I'm uncertain how I feel about it. I prefer to observe events than directly affect them, after all, but this would seem to be an exception in Lady Bollinsong's name. So, if you decide to do things quietly, rest assured word will spread. If you want to do things publicly, you must trust that King Frederick will help, not hinder, which is a bit of a concern.
Why would that be a concern?
Have you fucking seen the man? I'm surprised he can make it out the door most days with the amount that goes up his nose.
I have noticed that.
It is hard not to.
I see. Well, I appreciate all of your help for being so friendly with us and giving us this information. In return, since we are friends, if you would be amenable, I can put you back out the window and you can get some footage of Voidstein and I.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I am hoping to branch into video soon, so yes, if you would be so kind.
I will. And if you think on it, perhaps tomorrow at the wedding, things may get dicey. And if they do, I would appreciate your help in any way you can.
Well, I certainly can't say whether or not I will be there. I am, after all, a mysterious figure. But yes, I will assist as much as I can. Also, it is a gossip rag, after all. So there's a bit of smooching and perhaps some drifting hands would be in order. Just, to confirm your affections for Mr. Voidstein.
What do you take me for? That is precisely what I was planning.
We are on the same page as always.
She's going to put it back out the window, close the window, so we have it was a spy cam, not in the house. And then Voidstein, who is poring over books, she's going to zip down the front of her shirt a bit so there's cleavage, and then just grab him by his dirty pajamas and smooch this man.
And just like the camera outside just does a slow pan over, and his eyes are just wide in both surprise and delight, and you just hear him muffle and he doesn't really know what to do with his hands, so he's just kind of doing one of these, and then he kind of pats you on the shoulder.
Great, yeah. She'll just make sure it looks good for the camera for a bit, and is on him for a little bit, and then pushes him back to his books. And
he stumbles back and says, "Ooh. Oh my."
That is thanks for such a good job you're doing of all that research. Keep it up.
I will. Yes, ma'am. And he starts reading faster, and he goes, "Oh, this is less efficient." And he goes back to reading slowly. And he looks over at Clarence and he says, "I'm sorry you had to see that. That was..."
Oh, Clarence gave it Eli gave it half a look and then went back to examining the cell in his last pistol.
Yeah, this is Voidstein kind of trying to brag, but just not really knowing how.
Yeah.
So you had to see that. That was quite a display of affection. I'm you're not looking at him. Just
he mutters, "If you say so."
Wow. Okay, this day gets stranger and stranger.
Man,
Just brushes his hair back.
Well, if I I'm just going to try to huddle back to Eli and make a call to Valentyne really quick because this is too big of a decision to make completely alone.
That's
and
fine.
Ring him back over. I have an update.
That's good. I wasn't aware that we were going to use the encrypted line quite so much immediately, but fine. What's happening?
I can even try to kill them both tonight alone or tomorrow in public, but the king requested I have evidence, which I do not have.
Okay, is it possible to find or create evidence?
She's looking between Voidstain and Eli.
We bring a servo skull. We record whatever's going on in that cottage. It might give us all the evidence we need, and then we finish them off.
Good idea.
All right, well, good luck with that. Record it. If things go bad, torture them for information. If they're guilty, they'll confess their guilt. And if they're not, torture them until they confess their guilt. Mission accomplished.
Over and out.
And Voidstain looks up and says, "Okay, so I've got some findings. It would seem to me, based on these excellent reports, that, based on my own research and what you've told me, I suspect Boberstein was set up snipers because he was trying to avenge his lost love. I think that was more about trying to take care of the memory of her and flailing about, attempting to find something before he decided on the face thing you told me about, which makes my tummy hurt a bit. So I suspect that's that. In terms of everything else, I stand by my theory that a unified two big houses unifying would be good. That said, the other houses would move against them unless it was clean. So if they were going to try any of this, it would have to be done in secret, which might explain some of their animosity towards each other in public. But it would seem to me that there's a few things going on that I don't quite have an answer for, but that do seem somewhat suspicious that we might want to ask them about if we get the chance between bullets and blades. I'm not quite sure who tried to kill them, to be quite honest. They were both injured, and one very similar to Lady Ballensong, and one shot by a servitor. So unless you believe your robot friend you were talking to is in on it, I'm not sure who the sniper would be in that particular case. I doubt it would be Boberstein, because they seemingly didn't have anything to do with Lady Ballensong. And if they did, I don't think Boberstein figured it out. It just sounds like he wanted to kill your old friend, Mr. Van Houten, but instead he did the face thing. I'm still very hung up on that. It haunts me. But that's what I've got so far. I was a little distracted, but I think I can continue to pore over these notes if that's at all useful.
Yes, continue to look at them. Clarence, would you like to go on a night walk?
And oh my gosh, yes. Anything to get out of this man's company.
Well, I know that there's guards out there, but we still have a rope that I didn't use yet.
Yeah.
Your art rope?
My art rope. My repelling art rope that we did not use. So if we can get out of this building without getting stopped, though, I guess potentially I could flag that we're on a mission from the king.
Can Lizardmen keep a lookout for us?
They seem rather distracted, but we can at least get the information on where we're going.
I think you would assume that the royal guard would
let us pass.
Yeah. If the king has made you agents of the king, then the odds of just looking the wrong way when you go by are very high.
All right, so we're going out with our weapons, and we're gonna go see if we can spot some guys in a shack in the woods.
It's a good Eli sigh.
Yeah, he's sighing.
All right.
Also muttering, is like, do we even have to do this? What?
Just dreaming of bombing the planet from space.
Yeah. Yeah. A man can dream.
Attikus and Valentyne, well, they're off on their mission. Is there any other preparations you'd be doing this evening? Totally fair if the answer is no.
I think Attikus would just be doing wedding prep. Like, again, he's got, I assume, get like a new outfit, and this has to be like a special outfit for a wedding. He's like never been to a wedding. He doesn't know what you're supposed to look like. He's a lord. He doesn't know what any of that shit is. So he's going to be, I think asking servants for help.
That's like a good point. We'd pull information from Hugh, Valentyne would be like, we're going to need the most recent weddings of major house members that have been pick-casted, and just find recordings of all the weddings. So he and Attikus could sit down and just do wedding research, because each world has its own customs, so there's not even a universal thing. It's just like, what does a wedding look like here? What are the general vows?
Does he have to write his own vows?
We don't know that answer, so he can keep that in mind. But I think it's just wedding
pulls out the
paranoia.
poem again.
Yeah.
It's two military men trying to plan their contribution to a wedding they aren't planning, with all the focus of a military mission.
Right. Yeah. Pouring over the tactics. You know, all right. I think when we get to the altar, I flank. Yes. Okay. Great. So you're watching a bunch of videos. It is ostentatious nonsense, and you both hate it. All right. So back to our hit squad in the woods. Can you guys give me a stealth, please? Say difficulty of 3.
Ooh.
Get a
little
boost
spicy.
for the curfew. No one is expecting anyone to be out and about. You get another boost for being guided by lizardmen. You have servo skulls occasionally just like
Great.
pointing you in the right direction.
Perfect.
That's about it from me.
I don't
then
have anything else. for
Narratively,
this.
are you guys closing in together? Have you split up to flank the house? Like, what's the approach to the shack?
Yeah, so we'll say you're at distance.
Yeah.
You can see on the edge of the property. It's like for Greybridge, for the rich folks of Greybridge, this is like a weird little groundskeeper shack. This is like a good sized house for others. It's like it's a proper cabin. It's right on the edge of the property. There's woods behind it. There is fencing, sort of just a little bit into the woods, but because you're approaching so slowly, you can just get over it.
I'd like to stay out of sight, like in the woods, kind of crouch down.
Sure.
To be able to have a bit of a wider view so that Morgan can focus on what's going on inside the cottage, and I can kind of provide her cover if possible.
Like a spotter too.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
That's great.
I love that.
Yeah. And then obviously Toby's going to be overhead from another angle. So I'm like Toby spotting us from above, and then Eli spotting from ahead.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect.
All right, you can take an extra boost for Toby then.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay.
Roll.
Ooh, 1 triumph, 3 advantages.
Holy shit.
I got 1 success and 6 advantages.
Holy shit.
God damn it.
Stealth.
You guys own this cottage.
We know what's up here.
Yeah. Okay, so Laura, what would you like to do with that triumph?
I think I'd have to do something vital that changes the balance in the scene. I'm open to pitches.
I guess the goal here is what? To perform an assassination? 2 people are
think we
here?
want
Or hear what's
information.
going on.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
if you want
information
if you want the
information
triumph, it could
first,
be
okay.
they've got a massive fire blazing in the living room, so you two can actually get close enough to be outside a window and hear what they're talking about inside, rather
Maybe
than
you
staying
just
in the
spot
woods.
a
So you're
good
just there
place
and
to
can
hear
hear
from.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd buy that. And
Cool.
because it's changing the balance of the scene, it doesn't mean that Eli has to be the one to go in. Like you could just say this is true, and then Morgan can sneak in.
I would love
right.
that.
Yeah.
That's how you do that.
Great.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll say, with the triumph, I like that. So blazing fire, we'll say big window. The fire is providing good light and also some light sound cover. Also, you've got like a big, almost bay window that you can.
Yeah. And did some servo skulls follow us all the way here?
There is
So-
one
okay.
that is like staying probably back around where Eli is for now, and then kind of edging up, but it wants to stay out of sight. So maybe just like floating low on the ground.
Because we just need to be able to record
Okay, I'll
what
go
we're
with you then.
overhearing.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if Morgan just keeps it close nearby
Yeah.
her. Yeah.
Sure. Cool.
If you're holding the skull, there's no anti-grav motor.
That's
running,
it.
That's
so
Yeah.
true.
there's
I'm
no
just
sound.
carrying
Yeah.
it. Right.
Yeah. It's just a very weird camera. Okay. Great. So with the triumph, that makes sense to me. And then you approach in.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. And you got successes as well, so that all
Yes.
works. And there's just a bunch of boost floating around
Yes.
in the ether
4 boost. Yeah.
for boost. Okay. So
To anyone.
It's
Yeah.
just advantage. It's just boost. Boost going ahead.
All right. I guess probably going to you,
Yeah,
listener
Morgan.
at the window.
Yeah.
Morgan
More
boost.
sneaky
All right.
listening.
Excellent. Okay. So Morgan, you sneak up and you kind of get up and crouch next to the window. And you can see inside there's it's a very quaint little sort of 2-story cottage there on the main floor or cabin rather there on the main floor. big fire going. There's just hunting trophies, mounted on all the walls. Because it's Kyros and there's slightly newer money, it is very expensively built to look rustic. Mm-hmm. So everything is new, but has been tooled slightly to look a little more weathered and worn than it actually is. Versailles is seated because he's slightly more injured. Right. Kyros is kind of pacing in front of the fireplace. They have a bottle of Amasec, an old bottle of Amasec open. They each have a glass, and they seem to be in kind of an animated conversation, arguing. So as you kind of lean against the window, Kyros says, okay, well, I mean, obviously this didn't really go the way we wanted. The Duke is clearly out of play now, which fucking sucks, but kind of makes things easier for us, I guess, a little bit. And Versailles says, well, yes, in a lot of ways it does, but it just depends on what your definition of easier means and what your goal is, because our actual goal is now further away than it ever was before. And Kyros turns back and says, right, but the thing we really care about, us, is more attainable than ever. We just don't get to be, the rulers of Greybridge, which sucks, but, it just skips us a step, right? Because we don't have to marry some dude and then kill him or break up with him to figure all this out. Versailles raises his hand and says, killing the Duke was never in the cards, my friend. But yes, divorce of some sort was certainly on the menu. I must say I'm not too bummed to be missing out on that particular part of the plan, but things have gone rather messily, you must admit, and I must say House Versailles is not used to mess, and we don't particularly care for it, and this whole loose shenanigan festival has been quite upsetting. Morgan, you're kind of hearing them go back and forth on this. Mm-hmm. What are you doing?
I just holding tight and listening. I mean, I did get the words "kill the Duke" on record, so that seems okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was preceded by "not kill the
Duke." Yeah, we can clip that. We got the clip.
Yeah.
Context is key.
You can clean that up in the edit.
Yeah. We got Lizardman for that.
Fair enough. All right, so they continue on with their conversation, and Kyros says, yeah, okay, so sure, things got a little bit out of hand. And, I've apologized for how hard the landing was. It wasn't meant to be that rough, but, it had to look good. It had to look convincing, and it did. And Versailles looks down at his massive injuries, and he's like, well, yes, it did work real good, as you say. But when some of us plan one of these things, we make sure that our target is hit somewhere rather soft and rather non-vital, as opposed to, I don't know, wrecking someone's landing. You could have at least warned me. And Kyros is like, yeah, and you could have fucking warned me you were going to shoot me in the back. So we all have our problems here. But the important thing is that, we're both alive, we're both thriving, and, all of this is going to work out. And Versailles just kind of looks at his drink and looks up and says, except for one thing, dear Kyros, Lady Ballin's song. And Kyros kind of smiles and says, yeah, well, I mean, I had to go off script, just a little bit off script, really increase our odds. She was going to win. Versailles says, yes, indeed she was, but unfortunately, my friend, she has a lot of very powerful friends. And this leads me to the unpleasant business of the evening. You see, she wasn't supposed to die in any of this, and yet you took it upon yourself to make her fall from the sky, just like you did me. And we old houses, well, we don't look too kindly upon that. And I've discussed things with my family. And this Kyros is giving him a what the fuck are you talking about look. And Versailles says, and we've all come to the agreement that this match between us is no longer suitable to my needs. So, well, I do regret this. I'm afraid this is where we part ways. And Kyros kind of looks at him and then begins to foam at the mouth. And he looks down at the glass and kind of up at Versailles. And Versailles just looks down at his own glass and just takes a sip impassively as Kyros begins to stumble around the room, foaming from the mouth, nose, and his ears begin to bleed. Morgan, what do you do?
Morgan, we are recording this. This is a perfect reason. This man was murdered, or he murdered another house leader, and he was a party to conspiracy to kill multiple people. So that seems like an open and shut case to Morgan.
Great.
He's doing our job for us, like half the job.
So Kyros kind of stumbles, clears the mantelpiece, falls over, and Versailles just goes over and kind of clicks off on a recording device and says, I do believe the king will find this very compelling evidence when I present it to him tomorrow. After all, I will need to find a new place in this court of the Duke, and I suspect finding out who killed Lady Balensong will put me in good stead. Now, I'm going to try and make you comfortable until I present you tomorrow, and try not to take this too personally, dear. It's just business. It kind of slaps him on the side of the face and goes over to the minibar to refresh his drink.
So Kyros isn't dead. He just looks like...
He is foaming and convulsing on the ground, but he is not currently dead. He might be on his way there. Do you really trust Versailles to know how to poison a guy and like keep him around?
Feels like a baited question. That's bait right there.
You're watching Tyler and I purposefully not throwing anything else.
I know.
I've already overstepped.
Part of me just wants to kill him. It's murder-suicide. It's going to be fine. I don't know if I trust this if he's going to talk to the king tomorrow and spin his own thing. I feel like I just need to shoot him through the window.
Okay, let's roll an attack.
Oh, my attack is...
So range band, probably 2, because you're not point blank.
Okay, I got to remember how to use my gun.
It's been a hot second.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
So you use your ranged light,
Okay.
and then
I've got...
your aiming scope does stuff.
When I aim, I get 2 boost.
I'm imagining there's no setback for armor, Tom.
So here's the thing.
It's wearing a nice suit.
I'm going to aim, and I'm going to aim a cold shot and aim at this man's head, which usually gives me a setback, but because I'm a crack shot, there's no setback to that.
Okay.
So...
Are you also using the 4 boosts?
And then I will also use the 4 boosts. I get a boost because it's a sniper rifle, so that already goes on there.
You're using your... Oh, you went home.
Yeah, I went home and got my sniper rifle.
You got your good rifle.
So
Okay.
then I'll take the 4 boosts.
Jesus Christ. It's like 2 meters away, raising a sniper rifle to
And
glass.
slowly...
Like, oh, I wonder if I can hit this guy.
To shoot a man across the living room.
This is just Bender
Yes.
being like, oh, what are you going to do with these bars, Bender? I don't know, bend them.
I'm going to try. And actually, my sniper rifle also has a silencer on
You
it.
don't say.
It does. I paid for it. So if anyone's trying to perceive it, they get set back trying to perceive this gunshot in the middle of the night.
Right.
I guess I will do a roll for this. 1 triumph, 2 successes, 4 advantages.
Excellent. Oh, yeah, look at that. That's an Attikus melee
Fucking
dice pool
finally.
right there.
Yeah.
Jesus
All right.
Christ,
So,
all these fucking social roles.
Versailles turns, back from the bar, just glass in hand, and it's literally one of those things where just like looks through the windows, makes eye contact with you, like looks at the scope, but of course for you it looks like he makes direct eye contact with you, and then just like one of the eyes is gone, and the back of his head explodes, and he just kind of drops to his knees, falls forward, spilling the glass, and just kind of like thumps down basically next to Kyros, who through the foam just starts laughing, and through the broken glass you just hear him kind of like gurgle like, got you too, fucker, as he foams blood onto his thing, and then he just kind of like reaches up towards you.
Morgan's going to, come through the window and step in and look at him foaming at the mouth and wants to make sure this guy dies. So she just puts a boot onto his neck and makes sure that he perma dies. Dead.
Yeah, he just like, he has enough alacrity of thought to just turn his reaching hand into like a come on hand. And then he just, in his dying gasps, manages to like curl 3 fingers to give you like a half middle finger as he chokes to death.
Morgan has no response to that because she has no emotional ties to this, and then is looking for the recording device that Versailles had.
Oh yeah, it's just on the minibar.
So
he thought he was alone in here. This is purposefully secluded cabin so he could do exactly this.
Perfect. So I'm taking that and looking around this room and see if there's anything else worthwhile.
Lizardman just chimes in on the servo skull, saying, "Well, this was rather messier than I anticipated, but..." And you hear a slight distortion on the other end and says, "But good. Very good. Yes, this is excellent. Excellent work, Captain."
How does revenge feel now?
It feels wonderful. And with that, there's nothing else in the cabin. It's just like a refuge. So you're just leaving.
Yeah, we'll just leave it as is and go back, sneak our way back in.
Mm-hmm.
I think with a Triumph, we don't need to worry about people overhearing the shot. So Eli, you keep watch. You hear the shot. You have that momentary satisfaction of no more social roles.
Yeah.
But there's not, guards coming running, up over the hills or anything. And the two of you are able to slip away into the night and return back to Chaswick's.
Yeah. And now it's good because we have both. We've closed the case and we have the evidence. We got both.
And you got Kuro saying, "Got you too, fucker."
I should.
If you're not recorded shooting him, then this is just straight up. They both killed each other.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Perfect.
What about you, Lizzo Lizardman?
Well, darling, he was rather full of foam at that point, so no, I did not pick up that particular wording, I'm afraid, but nevertheless, I think you can probably spin it. After all, the king did point you in this direction, as I understand it.
He did indeed, and I'm certain that the people will hear the truth from you, as you see it.
Ah, yes, they always do. They always do hear the truth from me. Although I do admit I'm not quite sure what kind of world you and your friends are crafting for us here, but it will be an interesting one, and honestly, that is all that matters. All that matters is that it's interesting and fun.
And
Can you roll me a perception check?
Oh, sure.
Difficulty of 2.
Okie dokie.
And I'll give you a boost to Can't Explain Why.
All right. Do I get a boost for my own advantage that I just rolled?
Sure
shooting
do.
That?
Yep.
2 successes, 3 advantages.
That line sounded almost pre-recorded. It sounded almost by rote or like a slogan almost. But compared to the tone she normally uses, this was very almost canned.
Yeah, so maybe not paying attention as much?
No. Yeah, you succeeded on this. It almost sounded programmed, like a key tenet of her programming, and not necessarily something she's consciously thinking, just something that she is compelled to say. It gives you a hint as to what her deal is.
And what was it again?
It must be interesting and it must be fun.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And Morgan will definitely keep that in her mind, but she will continue to respond of, maybe now with these 2 major houses empty, you can make more decisions about what you want the society to be moving forward. Not just looking at it, but manipulating it. Maybe that would be more fun for you.
It must be interesting and it must be fun. Perhaps. This is beyond what I have done so far. I have, of course, pushed things a little bit left or a little bit right with my own writings. But, yes, perhaps there is more room for me in the society now.
Perhaps there is.
Thank you, Captain. This has been most helpful. I'll be sure to put in a good word up top if I can.
Thank you, my friend. We'll finally get to go home, go sleep.
You do. You do get to go home, go sleep. You return home to Voidstain, who has made yet another Charlie Day map. He's like, okay, I think I figured it out. If the two of them there's an old story called The Gift of the Magi, right? Where 2 people try and give each other gifts, and they're both, they have to sacrifice the thing they want in order to give the gift for the other person. So here's what I'm thinking. What if they each tried to kill the other one, but in a soft way where they didn't actually die to make it look good, but didn't tell each other, and then maybe they're mad at each other about that, which means they're in cahoots, but also injured each other, and they might be mad about it because they injured each other too much. Boom.
My lord, that is a very, very good idea. why don't you keep reciting that while we all settle in to go to sleep? And she's going to throw a blanket on Voidstain and listen to him ramble.
Okay.
I'll go to bed.
It's the white noise machine.
Yes, yes.
White noise
Picked
guy.
the most like jarringly atypical cadence. Like this isn't like ASMR. It's just, okay, well, Eli, I imagine you're just out immediately because you sleep,
yeah.
on anything.
Routine.
And the Voidstain just talks away late into the night. All right, so Valentyne and Eli, you're trying to
No.
one day, not this day.
We'll get this team back
We're all
together soon.
going to be together soon, Tom. We'll be friends again.
Valentyne and Attikus, you are planning a wedding. So I would say from what you've seen of these videos, the wedding is, think like what you would imagine from a
Royal wedding kind of setup.
yeah, but like slightly dialed back because they're not. Although he is the Duke, but the royals haven't been wedded here in a long time. So think like if Downton Abbey had a wedding where it's going to be a lot of long speeches. Everyone has to be dressed real nice. There will be speeches by people who aren't you guys. There will likely be some vows, but they don't necessarily need to be big. The good news is because this is part of a larger spectacle, he was advising that it will likely be a smaller ceremony, but it would pay to kind of really invest in making like Lord Van Houten. It's almost like his first entrance where it's just like, how can you really, really seal the deal on this? He also says that in the history of Greybridge, there have been shenanigans at weddings where it gets called off because of some like slight or issue of decorum. The odds of that happening here are low, but not zero. So it's still worth it to really play your hand correctly. Also, of course, King Frederick Fitzgerald, I haven't said his whole name in a while, so maybe I should do that. King Frederick Henry Jackson Dendrick Luther Fitzgerald is very, very temperamental. So you never know. So best to just really go all in. So his recommendation is, so I would recommend that we go all in on fancy. The fanciest we can make Lord Van Houten, the better. You have access to the estate of Balmsong. Obviously, you have access to the Van Houten estate, perhaps a mix of the two. But yes, I would say go fancy, be formal, and you will be absolutely fine, my lord. You've done spectacularly with all of these things, and it would seem that the Duke appreciates your particular tone, so make sure not to lose that.
I see. Well, thank you very much. I believe that will be all. You will receive orders from us for tailoring and other requirements as I need them.
Of course, sir. Thank you.
And this is Hugh Smiggleton?
This is Hugh Smiggleton.
Yeah. As Hugh leaves then, we're still on the third floor doing this? Hugh came up to talk
We go down to Hugh. He's not allowed up on the third floor.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
No one goes up except Chrysaeus and
Yelling
us.
at him on the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just yell down from the third floor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All, Hugh. That'll be all. Yeah.
Get out.
Very good, sir. It's real upstairs, downstairs.
Yeah. Pokes his head back into the third floor then and just kind of like, right then, so from all of that we just had to watch, it seems like a great deal of ceremony, which, I mean, I've been a part of some military ceremony, so I understand that. There's the vows bit, and everyone's dressed all, gregarious and fancy-like. So I guess we need to figure out what I'm going to wear and what I'm going to say, or sometimes they have the person officiating lead the vows.
Yes, it's not clear, so I would say be prepared to improvise as necessary. If you've heard some of those vows, take your favorite 3 to 5 beats, remix at your own pleasure. In terms of the outfit, I think we want to stay within the realm of the persona that you've drawn, being a military man, being from outside of this society, and at the same time adding a little bit of flair, as would be expected at this point. I would suggest military uniform, perhaps that more similar to a general, blending slightly above your current rank, but in an appropriate way for these people. White, gold, any medals that you've earned in your true service, we will add to this uniform for those who understand the overall accuracy of this entire thing. And we don't need to hide where you've been campaigning. None of that would factor into this. If the conspirators are watching, or of the planet and Vicodin. No medals. We're cutting that idea. It was a good one, but let's be paranoid. We'll get you an Erskine-lined cloak. Going into Lady Bollinsong's estate, we could have them pull a selection of dresses and coats, fur coats with Erskine lining on the interior. On the exterior, we have a collection of colors put into perhaps a mosaic that matches your colors, the Bollinsong colors, as they are part of the dowry, and the royal family's colors. Then we will make it exceedingly long to an obscene degree, and I will order a collection of cherubs, servo cherubs that can fly to hold up the edges of it. So you at the front looking suitably military with a long train suitable for a marriage held aloft by cherubs. That seems appropriate to me. Do you have any thoughts?
Wow, I suppose that even for Van Houten, that's a big statement. But I suppose it's a royal wedding. He's going to become, what, co-duke? I don't
know how that works either. I assume they'll have some sort of rank for you. Perhaps you'll be the Duke's consort until an official time of ascension. If we want to make sure that it matches your current personality, perhaps...
Maybe some of the fur trimming on the outside as well, wearing the kill.
Yes, that's excellent. And we can remove the sleeves to match the sleeveless statement that you've been making up to this point. So
Right. Well, normal uniforms don't work too well with this arm anyway, so that makes sense.
That's true. Do you feel like you should wear gloves for this occasion, or does that feel too formal?
Maybe one. I don't see the point in a glove on this one.
We could have a custom glove made if you wanted to match.
Right. Keep forgetting that we can do those things with this person. Sure, I guess.
Excellent. I will have the custom gloves made to go along with the sleeveless military uniform lined with the skin of an Ehrlich. And then we will do an Ehrlich-lined cape, draping down backwards, held aloft by cherubs. Should be just an easy thing to have thrown together on a day like today.
Yeah, overnight, right? Yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'll put a rush order on this one.
Yeah, he just pokes his head out the door, the stairs going down to the second floor, just, "Ew!" Just calls him back.
He comes back up, takes the order, is like, Clerk Dentington could never do this in this amount of time, but I will. This will be the most eventful thing that happens tonight in Greybridge, but I will see it done, my lord.
Well, good, then.
I really need to go, though. I
Yes,
cannot carry any
You're
longer.
good. Then get out of here. You're
Very
excellent.
good.
Thank you.
Also, please bail me out if the royals arrest me. I will have to sneak around quite a bit.
Will do.
Okay. Thank you. Puts a hood up, rushes off into the night.
Fucking hell.
And with that, Hugh Smiggleton goes about the business of creating the most important and most eventful thing that will happen this evening as Morgan is stuffing out 2 major houses, having uncovered their conspiracy, falling asleep to the dulcet tones of Sacator Voidstain. Eli, you managed to keep Morgan safe. You've got a pistol that works. You're stuck in a room with an idiot again, but you got a little bit of relief. Mm-hmm. And Attikus and Valentyne, you eagerly await the return of a fancy outfit. And for the very first time in the history of the show, gloves for Attikus.
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features the voices of players Ryan LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Laura Hamstra, and Del Borovic, alongside Game Master Tom McGee. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's artwork was created by Del Borovic at delborovic.com. That's DELBOROVIC. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ad breaks use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR. All of their music is available at freemusicarchive.org. For all things Dum Dums and Dice, including merchandise and how to join our Patreon, you can visit dumdumdice.com or find us on social media at dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Garbo Ape, Locke, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dagger Rain, Rob L, Dia De Los Hoodless, Squishy Werewolf, Remy, Funky Head, Nomad, the Wise Paladin of the Badlands, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, Shulzari, The Long Family, Jordan Oliver, Richard Wright, Brittany Fenwick, Alex Parr, Old Man Mojo, Dragonfly, The Body Barrelers, Megan Werner, A Man Out of Time, Curtis at FingerTechRobotics.com, Panda24NN, Shendra D, Your Homeboy Bones, The Gata Family, Ellis Hatch, Odigenous, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumbdumbdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.